Happy Friday. So correlation is not causation. Just because things happen together doesn't necessarily mean that one of those things caused the other one to happen. Still, though, it's hard not to think that these things happening right now in the news might not have something to do with one another. Here's the first thing. It's about public opinion. We started last night's show with a look at public opinion concerning this president and this presidency as he approaches the end of his crucial first 100 days in office. And as we discussed on last night's show, the numbers for him are brutally bad. In the Pew poll, President Donald Trump is underwater in his overall approval rating by 19 points. In the Fox News poll, people are asked if Trump's policies are helping or hurting the U.S. economy. They say Trump's policies are hurting the U.S. economy by a margin of 22 points. In the Economist YouGov poll, they asked if Trump is generally helping or hurting not just the economy, but the whole United States. Since Trump has been back in office, have his actions as president helped the United States or hurt the United States? The American people say Trump has hurt the United States, and they say it by a 24-point margin. So we covered some of that yesterday. Now, today, banner headline all day long at the New York Times, quote, "Voters sour on Trump," in new New York Times Siena poll. And then you get the full headline, "Voters see Trump's use of power as overreaching." And then it's just a litany of all the things Trump has been trying to do and how much the American public hates all of it. Do you support or oppose Trump withholding funds from universities? Oppose by a 25-point margin. Should Trump be allowed to impose tariffs without authorization from Congress? No, by a 33-point margin. Should Trump be allowed to eliminate programs enacted by Congress? No, by a 33-point margin. Should Trump be allowed to deport legal immigrants for protesting against Israel? No, by a 46-point margin. Should Trump be allowed to send U.S. citizens to that prison in El Salvador, like he's been threatening to? No, he should not be allowed to do that, by a 63-point margin. Should Trump be allowed to ignore an order from the United States Supreme Court? No, by a 70-point margin. When you are losing polling questions about stuff you've said you might want to do or stuff you're trying to do, when you're losing polling questions like that by 40, 60, 70-point margins, we're pretty close to something that looks like a national consensus view in this country. And the view is no. No to what Donald Trump is doing. Do you approve of how Trump is managing the government? No. Do you approve of how Trump is managing trade? No. Do you approve of Donald Trump's executive orders rolling back DEI programs in the federal government? No. Do you approve of Donald Trump on the economy? No. Do you approve of Donald Trump and his handling of the Russia-Ukraine war? Nope. Do you approve of Donald Trump's handling of immigration? No. Do you approve of Donald Trump's treatment of the Kilmar Abrego Garcia case? No. By a 21-point margin, no. But I mean, credit the New York Times and their editors for actually, I think, really getting right the big takeaway from this poll in all of its detail. The big takeaway really is what they put in the headline. Voters see Trump's use of power as overreaching. And they can say that credibly in this poll because they asked about it. I mean, outright majorities of the country say that Trump has gone, quote, too far on tariffs, too far. On his cuts to the federal workforce, too far. On immigration enforcement, too far. On his overall changes to the political and economic system, too far. Outright majorities of the country say he's gone too far on all of those things. And it's not just that New York Times Siena poll that's out today. There's also a new AP national poll that's out today, which puts Trump minus 24 on the economy. Whoa. There's a new Washington Post ABC Ipsos poll that's out today. Their headline, Trump's immigration ratings turn negative. He's always been able to count on people being with him on the nasty things he says about immigrants. Not anymore. People are not with him on immigration anymore. The thing he can always count on having a positive approval rating on, not anymore. So it's all bad for Trump. in terms of the public just soundly rejecting everything he's doing, even the stuff that he says just for political effect. It's having the opposite political effect that he intends. I don't know that we have ever seen another first 100 days from any president this roundly rejected and hated by the American people. And as I said, correlation is not causation. Things happening together doesn't necessarily mean that one of those things caused the other one to happen. But on the day we've got on the front page of the New York Times, voters sour on Trump. Americans think Trump is overreaching in his use of power. On the day, that is the news on Donald Trump. What does Trump do? He arrests a judge. He arrests a judge. And we're going to talk with Congressman Jamie Raskin about this in just a moment. But if you want to talk about a portrait of desperation, show me the political leader who is just flipping the table over, just pulling the pin on the grenade and rolling it into the room. Show me the elected leader who has decided to start arresting judges to see what happens. And we're going to talk in just a moment about what happened already in response to Trump doing that today. And where this is headed. We're going to talk with Congressman Raskin about that in just a moment. You're going to want to see what the instant emergency reaction was when it was announced this morning that Trump had arrested a judge. You're going to want to see this. But it is not weird for there to be a correlative, if not causative, connection between a politician's deep and evident weakness, his profound unpopularity with the American people, and that same politician showing a new willingness to do the craziest stuff imaginable, right? I mean, it's not just a Trump phenomenon. This is a political science thing. You know, if people like you and they like what you're doing, you'll do more things that they will like. You will try to hold on to the support that you've got. You will try to build on that support. You will try to keep the people on your side. If, on the other hand, your approval rating is, I don't know, -19 in the Pew poll and getting worse in every successive poll, and you've got, I don't know, 70-point margins against you on the stuff you're saying you want to do, well, then what do you do? It's not like you got anything to build on. People hate everything you're doing. So what do? You just do something crazy. You do something wild and reckless to change this stuff up, to change the conversation, just to blow things up, just to make things different. You arrest a judge or something. This was 2 days ago in Storrs, Connecticut, on the campus of the University of Connecticut, home of the UConn Huskies. Students protesting about Trump targeting immigrants and international students and revoking student visas. This was yesterday at UNLV in Las Vegas. Students protesting at UNLV about Trump targeting students, targeting immigrants there too. This was a big one. This was Syracuse University, a big protest. Look at this. Against Trump going after immigrants, going after student visas. And I see this is all just within the last couple of days. And, you know, we have been covering these kinds of protests against Trump's arrests of students, his attacks on students for weeks and weeks now. I mean, we've just got reams and reams of this kind of footage. Left to right, top to bottom here, this is just an unrepresentative sample. This is New York City, Columbia University. That's in the top center, that's Newark, Delaware, the University of Delaware. On the upper right, that's Harvard University in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Bottom row, that's Cobb County, Georgia, Kennesaw State. Center in the bottom there, that's Bloomington, Indiana, Indiana University. Lower right there, that's Tempe, Arizona. That's ASU, Arizona State. Colleges and the communities around them have been protesting in one way or another every single freaking day about these kids being snatched off the street, snatched off campus by Trump's agents, students being thrown out of the country, in many cases for no apparent reason at all. Are you one of the people who has participated in one of those protests? Have you driven past one of those protests and given them a honk and a thumbs up? Have you done anything to publicize the cases of those kids? Posted about it on social media, wrote letters to the editor, called into call-in shows, called your member of Congress about it, put up a sign in the window. Have you done anything to bring attention to this, to show or say that you objected to what Trump was doing in arresting all these students and jailing them or throwing them out of the country? Have you done any of those things? If so, today is your day. Headline: Trump administration reverses course on student visa cancellations. Headline: international students who lost their immigration status will have it restored, government says. Headline: Trump is reversing the termination of legal status for international students around the U.S. People have been protesting about it instantly and everywhere and every day. People have been speaking out about it, making the case, calling on the conscience of the American people, which is what nonviolent protest is all about. The polling now shows, in poll after poll after poll, that the American public is absolutely and totally and by huge margins against what Trump has been doing to these students. And that pushback, that fight, has been not only popular, it has been ferocious. Headline: ACLU of West Virginia sues over West Virginia University students' revoked visa. Headline: UI, University of Iowa students sue Department of Homeland Security and ICE. Headline: 17 international students in Georgia accuse ICE of violating due process. New Haven residents sue Trump administration over revoked student visas. Rutgers international students sue feds over revoked status. UW-Madison international students file lawsuit. University of Texas Rio Grande Valley students sue Homeland Security. ACLU of Connecticut sues Trump administration over 60-plus students' visas being revoked. 3 international students in Colorado sue Trump administration over termination of immigration status. Gannon University students in Pennsylvania suing the federal government. Purdue students suing federal government over visa revocations. UC Berkeley international students sues Trump administration over revoked visa. There are literally dozens and dozens and dozens of these. I could go on. And those individual cases are all separate and apart from the really big cases involving multiple students, multiple jurisdictions. The big case filed a week ago today in federal court in New Hampshire, class action on behalf of all the foreign students whose visas have been yanked by Trump. That big case filed by 19 Democratic state attorneys general to stop it nationwide. That one take no prisoners lawyer in Georgia, the former president of the American Immigration Lawyers Association, whose case started with 17 students in Georgia. Then he added more than 100 more. That lawyer telling CNN, quote, "I can file 133 lawsuits, but I think the court wouldn't be happy about that, so we are filing one big one." Well, all of those efforts effectively have now been victorious because Trump stopped. He had to stop wholesale attacking these thousands of students for the terrible crime of going to college in the United States. The Trump administration also today had to reverse itself on killing the crime victims hotline at the U.S. Justice Department. Why did you kill that? They've now had to put it back. The Trump administration now having to reverse itself on killing all translations of weather forecasts and weather emergency statements, because heaven forbid some administration has had to reverse itself on its not at all terrifying plan to create a national government registry of autistic people under the authority of Trump HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who, of course, talks about autistic people as if they are not even human. And now he's going to create a universal registry of everyone with an autism diagnosis in the United States. Are you kidding me? That was his plan. Now he's had to reverse himself on that as well. Today, the Trump administration has had to reverse itself on cutting food safety scientists at the FDA. Trump's new hand-picked FDA commissioner actually went on CNN this week and denied that those scientists had been fired. He said, quote, "I can tell you there were no cuts to scientists or inspectors. There absolutely were firings of scientists and inspectors cut from food and drug safety labs all across the country, including, I should mention, from the veterinary division of FDA, where what they were working on was the bird flu." He didn't even know, oh, they haven't been cut. Now they've quietly started reinstating all those scientists and inspectors that they actually did cut, but they didn't want to admit it, let alone defend it, and so now they've had to reverse it. All of those reversals within the last day. I mean, listen, it's Friday. I'm sorry. I run out of things to give by the time we get to Friday. So sometimes I'm a little more blunt on Fridays than I am other days. I'm sorry, it's exhaustion. But listen, it's not like we didn't know it was going to be terrible, right? This week, after all, it's the 5-year anniversary of Trump in his first term, telling the country that maybe we should all inject bleach or disinfectants into our bodies. Because sure, that would probably take care of COVID, right? Do you remember Lysol had to put out a disclaimer saying, please do not actually inject disinfectant into your body? My God, we realize the president just said to do that, but please do not. That was 5 years ago this week. We've had time to settle into what it's like to have Donald Trump in a position of power, right? So it's not like we didn't know it was going to be terrible. And it is terrible. He really did have a judge arrested today. And we will have more on that in a moment. But that wasn't all. I mean, today we learned that Trump is killing off the federal funding for Narcan. Narcan, the anti-overdose miracle that has literally saved hundreds of millions of American lives in the last few years. There are hundreds of thousands of Americans who are alive today who would not be alive without Narcan. It is a miracle that saves people from overdose. And Trump, in his first term, bragged and bragged and bragged about how much his administration supported Narcan and how much they'd done to make sure everywhere in the country could get Narcan. Now he's killing it off. And killing off programs to combat opioid addiction at the same time. Trump really is completely zeroing out, completely eliminating Head Start everywhere in the country because, God forbid, American kids can go to preschool, because that's a terrible thing. A complete termination of that 60-year-old program. Trump really is killing off Meals on Wheels because, heaven forbid, old people and disabled people and people with mobility problems get meals delivered to them and somebody to check in on them. They're getting rid of the agency that runs that. Trump has already fired half the staff from that agency, and Trump has closed all 10 of the regional offices that oversee Meals on Wheels. Because Donald Trump is against Meals on Wheels for some reason. This was 2 days ago in Morgantown, West Virginia. People out protesting against Trump firing nearly everyone. 85% of people at NIOSH, the Occupational Safety and Health Agency that oversees coal mines. People out in West Virginia protesting that 2 days ago. Trump has cut the Mine Health and Safety Administration and the agencies that serve coal miners. And West Virginia is up in arms about it. We knew it was going to be bad, and it is bad. But the American people, God bless them. God bless us. The American people is under no illusions about it. And the American people is very broadly and now very consistently and very, very affirmatively against what Trump is doing. Even the stuff that he thinks you'll like, that he says for political effect, the American public is resoundingly saying no to all of it. And they're saying no in the polls, and they are saying no in the streets. And that, in the end, with the courts, that's going to be the only thing that matters. He's not even 100 days in, and we are in desperation mode from him already. Arresting a judge today. Are you kidding me? That is a sign of weakness, not strength. It is the public that is being strong here, and he cannot handle it. Jamie Raskin joins us next. So the man was at the county courthouse in Charlottesville, Virginia this week. Charges against him had just been dismissed. A judge had just ruled there was no evidence the man had committed any crime. The man, he's a house painter. He was told that he was free to leave the courthouse. And then this.
Show us a warrant signed by a judge.
Turn him around.
You don't have a warrant.
Sir.
Show us a warrant for his arrest.
We are officers with Homeland Security.
You don't have a warrant signed by a judge.
So what is going on here is that that Trump's immigrations here, that Trump's immigration agents here are arresting this man at this courthouse in Virginia. This video was obtained by the venerable newspaper in Charlottesville, the Daily Progress. And again, there are no criminal charges pending against this man. The case against him had just been dismissed. He had shown up at the county courthouse as required, and Trump's immigration agents took that opportunity to grab him. The agents who arrested him were not wearing uniforms. One of them was wearing a mask. The lawyer who represented the man they arrested, the lawyer says the agents did not show any form of ID. They did not present an arrest warrant. They did have handcuffs, though, and they handcuffed this guy and put him in the back of an unmarked van. To everybody who saw what was happening, it looked very much like a kidnapping.
The baker and the handyman's sweet connection. In a quaint village nestled in a picturesque valley, there stood a small house in the shape of a mushroom. This whimsical home belonged to a young boy named Jamie, barely out of high school, who had a passion for baking. Inside, his cozy kitchen was always filled with the sweet aroma of cakes, cookies, and all sorts of delightful treats. What made his creation special was that each of his cakes was shaped like tiny mushrooms, a nod to his quirky home. Jamie's baking became the talk of the town. From birthdays to celebrations, everyone in the village adored his sweets.
Get your digital copy today at lulubooks.com and experience the adventure in EPUB or PDF format. Make sure you have a compatible reader to dive into this unforgettable journey. Don't miss out, unlock the secrets, and let the story begin.
Sable's Song, A Siren's Journey to Joy. Once upon a time, in a small, worn-out town in Middle America, there lived a little child named Sable. Worn into poverty, Sable's body was frail, so thin that you could see her bones, but her heart was filled with an exuberance that not even hunger could dull. Sable was awkward, with dark, deep-set eyes that sparkled with innocence and wonder. Despite being born a boy, Sable always knew she was different. Inside her lived a girl, bright and effervescent, waiting to bloom.
Get your digital copy today at lulubooks.com and experience the adventure in EPUB or PDF format. Make sure you have a compatible reader to dive into this unforgettable journey. Don't miss out, unlock the secrets, and let the story begin.
The Park of Secrets.
In the year 2060, near the heart of Florida, just a stone's throw from Disney World, stood a theme park unlike any other, a place known as the House of Secrets. It was a magical park, much like a state fair, filled with towering rides, carnival games, and parades that drew people from all over the world. But among the grand Ferris wheel and the colorful day parade, there was one attraction that outshined them all, the parade princess, a mesmerizing mermaid named Kenya. Kenya was a sight to behold. At 22 years old, fresh out of college, she had the kind of beauty that drew people to her like moths to a flame. Her brown skin glowed under the park lights, her hair a stunning mix of purple and pink that cascaded over her shoulders. Little pink hearts adorned her cheeks, and a ribbon of color stretched across her nose. But it wasn't just her beauty that made her special. Her eyes, big and almond-shaped, seemed to capture the hearts of everyone who saw.
Discover the magic of the Park of Secrets. Step into a world of wonder with the Park of Secrets, a heartwarming tale by Ariel Williams that will captivate your imagination. This enchanting story is now available exclusively on Lulu Books.
The Future, Daughters of Liberty, A New Dawn. In 2040, the United States was a fractured nation, still reeling from the fallout of Project 2025, the catastrophic policy that had allowed a resurgence of systemic oppression. The Deep South had seceded once more, forming the antebellum republic, where human trafficking, racial inequality, and gender oppression became tragically normalized. The Second Civil War erupted as the rest of the nation sought to free those trapped in this dystopian regime. After years of bloodshed, Kamala Harris had finally led the Union to victory, restoring a fragile sense of hope. But the battle scars ran deep, especially in places like Louisiana, where the remnants of a broken society still lingered.
Get your digital copy today at lulubooks.com and experience the adventure in EPUB or PDF format. Make sure you have a compatible reader to dive into this unforgettable journey. Don't miss out, unlock the secrets, and let the story begin.
A Dying Planet, The Last Harvest.
In the year 2060, Earth is a shadow of its former self, choked by pollution, endless concrete, and abandoned by nature. Only a small fishing village by the sea has managed to preserve the planet's last untouched forest. In this dying world, June and Win, two young girls and the last children in their village, cling to the remnants of hope and innocence. Win roams the forest, collecting the season's last harvest, while June sings songs that echo with a haunting beauty through the village.
Get your digital copy today at lulubooks.com and experience the adventure in EPUB or PDF format. Make sure you have a compatible reader to dive into this unforgettable journey. Don't miss out, unlock the secrets, and let the story begin.
I told you. What did I tell you? Didn't I tell you? 'Cause I told you. And when did I tell you? A long time ago. And what did I say will happen when I told you? Exactly what just happened.